Alright guys, time for another video. We've discussed in class how to find the equation of a line that is perpendicular to another line that passes through a specific point. And that's going to be the subject of our video today. So determine the equation of a line that is perpendicular to another line, perpendicular to another line that passes through a specific point. Okay, so let's talk about this a little bit before we get started. Let's imagine that we have the line y equals negative 2x minus 5. And we want to make a line that's perpendicular to that passes through the point negative 3, negative 5. Well, let's try to get an idea of what this looks like. Let's draw a coordinate plane. And again, it doesn't have to be anything special, but we do want some graphical representation of this. And if you have graph paper, this would be a perfect time to use it. So let's go out about 5 on either side of 0. Again, it doesn't have to be anything pretty if you're just following along with the video. Well then, this line, y equals negative 2x minus 5, it's got a negative slope, so we know it's going to be pointing down to the right. So, the way we can plot this, go to your y-intercept, negative 5, and put a dot. So we're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now our slope is negative 2, so we need to go down 2 and over 1. Well, I don't have any marks down here, so we can also do this. Let's go up 2 and to the left 1, and we'll still maintain our negative slope. Connect these to make a line, and we'll have a pretty good graphical representation of what this is going to look like. Or at least a rough idea. Now our point, negative 3, negative 5, well, that's negative 3 on the x-axis, negative 5 on the y. So we'll come down here and we'll put a point about where that's supposed to be. Now, let's imagine what this should look like when we're finished. That way we can check ourselves, make sure we're on the right track. Well, I know that if this line is negative, or it has a negative slope, then this line that is perpendicular should come out like this, right? It should probably intersect about right here, and it looks like it should have a y-intercept of about negative 4, give or take, so that when we're done we should be able to check ourselves and make sure our answer makes sense. Well, let's get started then. There's a tool that we've learned that's going to help us out, and it's going to tell us when two lines are perpendicular. Let's make a note of that. Two lines are perpendicular if the product of their slopes is negative 1. If the product of their slopes, so the slope from your first line times the slope of your second line, is equal to negative 1. Well, that's a good way to check, and also a good way to build this. So basically what this says is if you want to find a line that's perpendicular, you can take the slope that you're given, negative 2, flip it over and change the sign so that the slope of our new line, we'll call that M2, is equal to negative 1 over M1. So negative 1 over negative 2, which is equal to a positive 1/2. So again, all you have to do is flip your slope over. That would give you negative 1/2. Change your sign, be positive 1/2. And that's the slope of our new line. Well, the only thing left to find is our y-intercept. And again, we're going to start out with the equation of our line with our slope filled in. So we'll start out by saying that the equation of our green line, so I'll do this in green, y equals 1/2 x plus some y-intercept. It has a y-intercept, we just don't know what it is yet. And what's going to help us find it is the point that we're given. This point has an x value and a y value. So we're going to use those and substitute it into this equation, and that's going to let us solve for b. So if we put negative 5 in for y, we'll have negative 5 equals 1/2 times x, so 1/2 times negative 3, plus b. Well, multiply these across. We'll have negative 5 is equal to negative 3/2 plus b. And we want to get b by itself, and it's basically just a two-step algebra problem. Since this is a negative 3/2, we're going to add 3/2 to both sides. So b then is equal to negative 5 plus 3/2, or another way to say that, if we want to write our positive numbers first, 3/2 minus 5. And if you've seen the earlier videos, you know now that we have to get a common denominator and things. Not that big of an issue at this point. We multiply our first fraction by this denominator over itself. Well, if there's nothing there, we assume it to be a 1. Multiply your second fraction by this denominator over itself, so 2 over 2. That will simplify to be 3/2 minus 10/2. And we all know now that when you have a common denominator, you can subtract your numerators. So 3 minus 10 will give me negative 7, and then we'll put it over 2. So b, my y-intercept, is negative 7/2. So the only thing left to do at this point is put everything back together. We can say that the equation of our line now, that we have the slope and the y-intercept, is y equals 1/2 x plus b, or since this is negative, minus 7/2. And that should be the equation of a line that's perpendicular to this line that also passes through this point. So if we want to graph this new line, here's what we can do. Let's start at this point, the point negative 3, negative 5, and we'll use the slope of our new line to find our next point. Our slope is positive 1/2, which we knew it should have been positive from the beginning. It says to go up 1 and over 2. And place a dot, and that happens to be just about where we had expected. We make that green. And it looks like, it looks like it. So what we can do then, connect our lines, and you can see that they are fairly close to being perpendicular. And I bet that if you had drawn this out on graph paper, this would in fact come out to be perpendicular. And for some reason some reason it's not playing very nice, but we'll go ahead and draw it in. There we go. And I think you see it's close enough for our sketch. So that concludes our video, and I'll try to put up a few more examples of this. I know one's not really enough to really give you a thorough understanding, but I think it'll help out. And thanks for watching.